Welcome, Janet. Thank you for joining me for this YouTube series on self-publishing. I do have your official bio below the video, but would you mind telling us a bit about yourself in your own words?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm Janet Hart Leonard, and I'm 67 years old. I've lived in the same town my entire life, actually on the same street. But last year, at the age of 66, I published my first book. And this was after writing a newspaper column for 16 years. And I had a story to tell, but I also had the newspaper columns. But I'm a friender. If I see you in the coffee shop, you will probably become my friend. I love my 116-year-old house. I love to decorate, and I love words. I've loved words since I was in junior high, and now I know what to do with them. I use them a lot.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you. So, like you said, you published your first book last year. Do you mind telling us, the title of your book and maybe a bit about it?
Absolutely. It's When the Heart Speaks. Hart is spelled H-A-R-T because it was my maiden name. And it's my story, but really I'm a storyteller. So I kind of tell my story and my parents' story through storytelling. How my life has gone, and it's not been as planned, but I found out that most people say the same thing. So in my columns and in my book, I make people laugh and I make people cry, but most of all, I make them think. So When the Heart Speaks is written from the Little House on the Alley, and it's whimsy and wisdom from the Little House on the Alley.
Amazing. I love it. It's just so you, and I love that you were able to incorporate so much of you into this book. And obviously people don't know this, but just from the cover and the inside and all of the words, it's so Janet, and I love that.
Thank you. Even the Janetisms.
Yes, that's great. So, like you said, you were 66 when you published. So what led you to make that decision and self-publish your first book?
Oh my, it was a journey, and it was kind of a divine journey, because what I found with the writing community, it's not just who you know, but what they know and who they know. So once you start talking with people, and I had a lot of friends who were self-published, and they told me that it's the way a lot of even the traditional people who have gone to traditional publishers are looking at being self-published. It has a different look now, I think. I think it's become more professional. But as I spoke with them, I realized I could do this. I had one friend that I said, I don't even understand formatting. And she goes, you can hire out whatever you need to do that you don't know what to do. And I thought, So I started doing my research, and I realized there's hybrids, there's traditional, but you have to do your research. You have to look at what someone offers, what they've done, the cost that's involved, and see what's a right fit for you. And what may be a right fit for one of your dear writer friends isn't right for you. So you keep researching, and I joined communities. I have a group that we call ourselves the Writer Chick Society. It's really just for older ladies who love to write, and we've all published books. So I spoke with them. I joined Hope Writers, which is a community that not only they were writers, but they gave classes. And then they had one that was they called it a circle, and it was on self-publishing. And each week I learned more and more, and I gained the confidence. I can do this. So at the end of that course, I thought, I'm ready to go.
Amazing. I love hearing that. So you are a very positive person, and I assume that there were parts of this journey that you enjoyed. So why don't you tell us about those pieces of your journey?
Oh, well, the writing. And I loved finding cafes and little coffee shops where I could be in the corner or by a fireplace or out on the porch, and I could write, but I could also listen to stories that other people were talking in their little chit chat. I'm a great eavesdropper. even when I have my earplugs in. And that was fun. And just realizing how the story was becoming, it was becoming a book.
That's great. What challenges did you face in this process, and how did you overcome those?
Technology. I wasn't raised with computers. I had had one for 20 some years, but there's a difference. Young people know you scan this and you upload this and you download this and you import and export. It was a foreign language. So I Googled a lot. And then I had my writer friends, and I'll never forget the day I called my daughter-in-law and I said, how do you scan a picture? And she goes, what? I said, scan a picture. And she goes, you've never done that? I said, no. So she was explaining, and she realized there was no response coming from me. And finally I said, I am so lost. She goes, I'll be there in 2 hours. But not only did I have her, but my writing community, I found I could ask those questions and I wasn't made to feel dumb or that I should have already known that. And that there was safety in that community. And that was huge for someone like me. So yeah, the technology.
Yeah. It sounds like you did what a lot of us have done as self-published authors, is really relied heavily on the support of the writing community, which is something that I'm hearing a lot of in these interviews.
And what I guess it shouldn't be surprising, but maybe it was, that they were so giving. They took the time to explain, and they explained their process and what to do. And writers they love words, but they love encouraging words. And they not only write them, but they use them. So that was a big thing for me.
That's great. So I know you wrote the book yourself. What parts of the process did you decide to hire out to others?
Oh gosh. Well, let me tell this. I was very fortunate that I had 3 friends who edited it. Now, they weren't just friends. They knew their stuff. My main editor, she actually was an editor for over 30 years for a paper. So she knew punctuation and she knew content. And she kept saying, she goes, I don't want to lose your voice because you have your own way of saying things. Thus, the Janetism or the Audreyisms that I used. So she was wonderful. And she was so gentle with her suggestions, because I said, just put on there what you think I should change. And so she did. And then I have a friend who was a 4th grade teacher. So I said, I've passed 4th grade twice now. She went through it and she gave me some critiques, and a lot of hers was just content. I don't understand this. So that was great, because it allowed me to go back and think, well, yeah, they don't know my life. They need a little bit of a backstory. And then when I was in junior high, we had this incredible teacher, Mr. Purvis, and he taught creative writing. I loved his class. I loved how he allowed us to use new words. And that's where I got my start. I found him 50 years later. I couldn't believe it. And so I told him what I was doing. He'd been reading my columns, and he said, you have a gift. So we conversed back and forth, and I just asked him one day, I said, would you want to read my book? He goes, oh, please send it to me. So that was fun. And it was like being in junior high again 50 years later, because he would write, oh, this is good. Oh, I love what you said here. It was like, he likes me. He really likes me. So I had them. But then I wanted it to be so good that people would enjoy reading. So I found Typewriter Creative Company, and they saw my vision for my book. They saw my heart, because I write from my heart. And they took my words, formatted, made it look not only pretty, but by using my story and my columns, I had to let my readers understand this is my story and this is a column that goes along with it. So they saw how to do that. They did that. And then I had a concept for my book cover. I knew I wanted it to be my house. So 5 years ago, before I ever started thinking about writing a book, a friend of mine took a picture of my house, and then he made it look like a watercolor. And I thought, I want that. And the graphic designer was wonderful. She saw my vision and tweaked it some more. And it was like, oh, I like this tweaking. And it came together. So here's the big thing. Your cover is so important. The inside is so important to look, and it looks like a book you would find at Barnes and Noble. But that back cover is huge, because a lot of times people will pick up a book and they'll think, oh, what a neat cover. And then they turn it over to read the back cover and you lose them. So I wanted a back cover that made people think, I got to buy this book. And so by using, I call it TCC, Typewriter Creative Company, it came together, and it was so pretty. And people have commented, your book is beautiful, front, back, and the inside. And what I found is, once you become an author, you start looking at covers and back covers and what the inside looks like, and how you want, even the colors of the inside and the fonts and all like that. It's so important. So you have to find the right people that get your vision, know what you want it to look like, and then make it even better. So find that company that puts it together. And that was the big important part for me. And I also found out or realized it doesn't matter how your book is published. You're the executive marketer. You are the one who has to get it out there and draw attention to it, which is challenging sometimes because you don't want to sound like a salesperson, but you just wrote a really good book and you want people to know that. So find the things that are important, but you've got to have that book to look good. So that's what I did.
Amazing. I agree with you there on all points. So good. So is there anything that you would change about your journey through self-publishing?
Honestly, no. It was that good of a journey. My goal was to have it published within a year, and I did it. So I stayed on my own deadline, because you have to keep after yourself. And the hardest person to manage is yourself. There's always an excuse. There's always but I got to do this. I need to do that. And then the hard part is editing your editors, and then editing again. And then, oh, that is so hard, because it's like, oh, just let me read it one more time. Honestly, by the time I was finished with my book, I was so tired of listening to myself. It was like, oh. But then when you hand it over to your formatter and your designers, it's like handing your baby over. It's like, please take good care of it, because literally your blood, sweat, and tears and your soul is in that. So there's my thoughts there.
Amazing. So you maybe have touched on this a little bit throughout the processes or throughout our questions as well, but what would you say are the benefits that you've experienced by self-publishing?
Well, first of all, I own my own words. What I have found, there are a lot of business people out there that they know how to compliment an author, compliment a writer, and they want your business. And you have to read the fine print of how much royalties they're going to take. You have to read the fine print of, do they own your words? Because that's huge for an author. I mean, imagine writing a book and then wanting to use it and then saying, I'm sorry, we own your words. Maybe I have control issues, and I do. But yeah, I had full control. I also, and being 66 years old, I knew the traditional path would take years, and I might not have years. You don't know. But the whole idea of, understanding a query letter and a proposal, and then getting it to this agent or publishing house or whatever, and then waiting not months, but years. And then you might get a little letter that says, I'm sorry, we just don't see your vision. You're just not our fit. I just didn't want to go that way. This was, the benefits outweighed. Well, there were just so many benefits for me. And I will continue, because what I found, at least for myself and for a lot of writers, once you write that first book, you've got more words in you. So you want to write another one. And it's like, oh, now all these things. And I don't understand why God can't wake you up in the middle of an afternoon nap. He waits till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then you just have to get up and write. And characters and situations, they keep you awake. I mean, I live with my characters in a fiction book I'm working on right now, which is a lot of fun. But it's like, oh, they wear me out because they keep me up at night because I'm thinking about their personalities and what they're going to say. Gosh, it's a wonderful journey. It's a wonderful journey. So I'm just going to stay a self-publishing author, and we'll go from there. We'll see where the words could take me.
So great. So what would you say to someone who is considering self-publishing?
First of all, research. Do your research and ask your community, who did you use? How long did it take them? What did you have to sign and do? Look at the cost. Weigh all of your options, because there's a lot out there. But there are enough quality self-published books out there. And if you find them, see who they worked with. Contact the author. So again, you've got your community, you've got your research. I would say most authors have a pretty good gut and what feels right for them. And even though a writer friend may have used another wonderful company, it's just not right for you. But keep writing. A lot of writers, they struggle with the imposter syndrome. I could never do this. You know, for me, I didn't finish college. I was 66 years old. And you know what? I just turned off those voices and I thought, I can do this. I can do, and I had fun with it. So have fun with your writing and just keep doing it. What works for you? Fine. What works for someone else? Some people write every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. Some do it on the weekends. But keep writing. You don't know. The journals that I kept 20 years ago, I'm pulling them out now. And I'm finding I said some pretty good stuff. But it was to myself back then. So now I look through and I'm like, ooh, this is good stuff. I'm going to use this. So you never know where that writing adventure is going to take you. So keep writing and enjoy it. Find your people, Google a lot, and just do your research.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Janet. I'm sure people got some great insights from our time together. And if you're watching and you do have an insight to share or something that you're taking away from this conversation with Janet, feel free to leave that in the comments below. You can also check out Janet's information there as well. But thank you so much, Janet, for joining me. And I know this is going to help a lot of people.
Oh, Taryn, I hope so. And I just say, everybody, just go for it. And thank you again, Taryn.
Awesome. Take care, everyone.